click on any of our names, and we're going to introduce ourselves in a minute, and just send us a private message. So that's a really quick way if you're stuck and want some help. So who's here? I'm Tam Watchorn, one of the Pentacle facilitators. We're just going to introduce the people that can help you just now. You'll all meet each other and network as we go through the session. So going up the list, who's next in my list? Josh. So I'm going to ask you to join me at a place called the Small Discussion Board, which you'll find in the places list on the right-hand side of your screen. And we do drag in, so we know that not everybody's been on QUBE much before, so we'll pull you in. And to get closer to anything, all you need to do is to click on the map icons that you can see. So you just get in there, rather than moving your legs, it'll save you energy. It's not good for your step count, but it's very quick to do. Zoom in on the map icon, and have we got everybody there? Let's just bring you all in. Brilliant. So today's session, why are we here? We want to increase the understanding of how to attain APM Chartered Project Professional status, become more aware of the challenges at organisational level and how to overcome them, and for you to explore the delights of QUBE and the benefits of working in this way for your team. So any questions about QUBE as you go, ask those as well, please. You are autonomous on QUBE. If you don't like where we've dragged you, go and wander, have an explore. You can go anywhere you like. We like to keep our mics on QUBE. It's just like the real world. We're all in the same room. We can all hear each other. There's sound zones, but keep your mics on, please, unless you're somewhere very, very noisy. We do something called writing before we speak. That means we all have an equal voice. So we'll set challenges. We'll get you to write on sticky notes, and then we'll discuss it. It's one of the QUBE behaviours that we have, and we intend to have some fun. So please join us in that. Key people who are here today. We've got Adam Bodison from the EPM. We've got Eddie Obeng, who's going to introduce the session in a wee while. And we've got Karen Gregson from BAE Systems and Hoos van Ecklenburg from Shell. What are we going to do? Well, we've already got to know each other. You're all sitting at the tables. There was lots of good chat. We're going to hear some wise words from some wise people, and those are the people I've already mentioned. We're going to set us some challenges to work on. We're going to try and fix those challenges and see there's prizes to be won, or is there? We'll then find out what actually happened and decide whether we'll give the prizes away. And then we're all going to take a selfie on King Arthur's throne. That's the fun bit. What does success look like? That we've all had a great time. We've all met some new people. We've all got some new insights. You've all signed up for Chartership Programme, and you've all signed up to come back to QUBE and bring your teams and do some great stuff in the future. So that's what we've proposed today. But before we get into the session, let's find out what you want to do, just in case we've got it completely wrong. And I hope we haven't, because we'd have to reorganise it really, really quickly. And to do that, we're going to go to the place called Hopes and Fears, which is here, and we'll drag you in again. And we always do this at the start of a session. So if you're new, you might not have seen this before. But what are your greatest hopes for this session? We've got an hour and a half. What are your greatest hopes? What do you want to go away with? And any fears you've got, what do you not want to happen? And we'll do this with sticky notes. If you've not found them yet, they're bottom right of your screen. It says Network OK. Just to the left of that is a bunch of yellow sticky notes. They're great, the sticky notes on QUBE, because they never fall off the wall. Stay there for eternity. So grab a sticky note, capture what your greatest hopes for today are, any fears that you've got, anything you don't want to happen. And Eddie, can you deal with the fears for me when we've done, please? And Leo, can you organise the hopes into an agenda, please? Brilliant, thank you. Let's move on and do the session then, and meet all of those hopes. None of those fears will come true, I'm sure. Eddie, over to you.
Yeah, so what I'd like you to do, if it's possible, is move under your own steam, if it's at all possible. There's a place called View Presentation. If you could get there, that would be marvelous. Okay? And if you're not there yet, don't worry, I'm going to... Okay? And you can click on the yellow pin above, or click on a seat and sit down. Why not? Great. I think everyone's here. Everyone can sit. Some people are walking on tables, but it's okay. Great. So my name's Eddie Obeng. I mentioned that a bit earlier. You've heard from the team. You've heard from Jonathan Norman, who's with Major Projects Association. You've heard from Dr. Tammy Watchorn, who's been guiding it and is basically going to coordinate the whole session. You may have read her book or The Change Ninja. Actually, I think it's probably a bit spicy for you guys because you're proper project managers. But Tammy's really cool with that one. You met Leo and Josh as well. You can always tell who's speaking by noticing where the sound waves are in the list of people. So you can see I'm speaking. I've tried most of my life to try and get projects to be better. I've been working on this for a long time and I still haven't succeeded. But thank you very much for traveling all the way here by QUBE so that we can actually explore the mysteries of Chartered. If you only make one visit to QUBE, it's a nightmare because you struggle to get on, you have to download stuff. So whether you enjoy this session or not, come back often and come back and do other things. There are some people here who are on like a one-year course, one-year program on QUBE, so seek them out and get their secrets. Tammy mentioned we're autonomous. So if stuff's going, you can hear from many places. The way we set up the seat, you can continue to hear, but you can wander around and do your own thing a little bit as well. Explore private chat network, get sneaky catch-ups. There's some really good people here. Send them private texts. We're only in this cubicle this time, but visit the About place, About QUBE place and have a look. Most important, take a selfie. Sneak off and take a selfie at the selfie spot. Now, to the serious business of the challenge of projects and delivering perfect projects. My good friend Stephen Carver has this wonderful joke where he says you wouldn't get on a plane where the pilot had just come in off the check-in counter and didn't have a license. And that's exactly what we're trying to explore now. How do we persuade people that we should actually make sure that the pilots at least have got a license and know what they're up to? And for that, I'm joined by my co-conspirator, who I'm a great fan of, Adam Bodison. And you guys will have come across Adam. For me, he's a hero because he's an educator. And he's joined the APM and he's really put some extra energy and life into it, giving us a different angle. And what I'm hoping he can do shortly is set the scene for us so that we know exactly what this is about and where we're going. And Adam, I think you put your video on. There you go. So let me just pull Adam onto the screen for you guys. And probably this screen as well. And then, Adam, do you need your like slideshow thingy?
Yes, please, if that's okay.
Okay, let's get your slideshow for you. There we go. Cool. Okay, I think we're all good to go, Adam, whenever you're ready.
Okay. No, thank you very much for the kind introduction.
No, it's not kind. It's true. You're brilliant.
Go back to the right slide. So, I suppose what I wanted to do really today was to just spend a few minutes talking about Charter, because I think we've got a real mix of people in the room here. We've got some organisations and some individuals who know all about Charter, have invested in it, and probably know more about it than I do. And we've got others who are at the point of thinking about whether Chartered is right for them or the people in their organisation. And actually, it's something that we're thinking about, of course, at the APM as well. So first of all, I just wanted to share something about the data we've got about the impact that Chartered has had for individuals. And there are 6 things that we know of reasons why it's a benefit for individuals. So the first is that it makes an impact for them. They get to work on higher value projects, as you can see here. They get to work on bigger projects. And also it helps to increase their competitive advantage because they have a better CV and they can earn more in terms of their own salary. So it's great at the individual level. It also helps them to demonstrate their capability, like Eddie was saying before, that kind of license to practice, if you like.
Am I working? Am I working?
That should give confidence to employers that when they take somebody on, they know they're getting not just any old project manager, but actually they're getting someone who really is competent and knows what they're talking about.
Yes.
There's this whole thing about the status that comes with that as well. So actually people enjoy the fact that they have chartered. They're very proud of that. obviously they have better job satisfaction, and it helps them to advance in their career. So all of that together makes me say, look, the case for individuals saying I would like to be chartered is pretty strong. Okay. However, when it comes to who's going to pay for it and invest in it, this is where the organisations come in terms of, well, what's the impact on my organisation? If I invest in getting all my project professionals chartered, what will the impact be? And that evidence base is still emerging. Now, some organisations are much further down the path, and they've got evidence which works well for their particular context. What we don't know yet, and we're still getting the evidence for, is how transferable that benefits realisation piece is to other organisations in other contexts. So I suppose the challenge I wanted to set for you today is, trying to convince your finance directors or whoever it is to invest in chartered at a strategic level. That can be a particular resource demand for an organisation. So in that context, with not so much evidence yet, and actually the significant resource demands, given the wider context, actually, what is the business case that people either have made already or are thinking of making in terms of that investment into chartered? So I'm going to be dipping in and out of all of the conversations today, and I'm going to be sharing some thoughts at the end of today about what I've heard. So anything you can do or say today that helps me to help you to make the case would be very much appreciated. So I'll stop talking there, because I think the real work is over to you, but hopefully that's useful in terms of setting the scene.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Adam. That's perfect. That's just spot on. Thank you.
It's me
Tammy?
now, Eddie.
I think we're swapping, and we're going to start thinking, it's Jonathan, about challenges.
Yeah, indeed. We're going to, that was fantastic. Thanks, Adam. We're now going to hear from two of our outside speakers. So we're going to hear very briefly from Guus and from Karen on the challenge from their perspective, the challenge of chartered. So let me just put slides up. And Guus, if you'd like to join me at the presenter spot and do your 60 seconds, that would be fantastic. I'm trying to find the slides now. There we go. Ooh. Okay, so Guus, do you want to, well, that's just loading. There we go. Do you want to just articulate the challenge as you saw it in 60 seconds?
Sure. Can you see me? I put on the camera.
Yep.
It is, the sun is that day, so that's not so compelling to look at. But welcome everybody. My name is Guus van Ekelenburg. I work in Shell Project Academy, looking after project delivery capability in Shell globally. And the challenge that we were facing was basically, we have many people in Shell with a considerable testimony and experience in project delivery. But how do we make it such that those people get accredited in a certain way, but also at a decent economic rate? Because if you can see that there's hundreds of people qualified for chartership, but if they individually need to pay, what is it, £50–60 per application, that may not be such a thrilling economic proposition. So that was the challenge, to find a way to demonstrate capability through expenses, but at an economic cost.
Excellent, great. And I'll now ask Karen from BAE Systems to repeat the task from her own perspective. Karen, are you with us?
Yep.
Off you go with your 60 seconds.
I think from a BAE Systems perspective, we're probably very similar in the fact that we do recognise, obviously, the enhanced capability and professionalism that chartership brings. I think the issue for us is there's no real burning platform, and there's a less tangible, shiny beacon. So in any kind of case for change, actually doing this, there needs to be one or the other of those things. So at the moment, we're just continuing almost a little bit blindly, to the point that whether our customers start saying, we need you to be having this chartership in order to be able to continue to work with you, or our partners saying to us, you know, this is really important. We're not actually getting that at the moment. And I think what's compounding it in BAE Systems is that we are a number of almost federated businesses with their own challenges, especially nowadays with reskilling, upskilling, and things like that. So what is the reason why we would plough our money into chartership as opposed to other things? So although the recognition is there, the real strong case for change potentially isn't.
Fantastic. Thank you ever so much. Great. So we're going to get you to do some work now. You've listened to us enough. So Tam, I'll hand you over to brief
Brilliant.
us on the exercise we're going to do.
So if you could all join me at the place called Navigator in the places list. And I am going to drag you for this one because I don't want you to move just yet. I've got 2 challenges, so slightly different challenges. We're going to go and work on what we would do if that was our challenge in groups. We're going to go into breakouts. And to do that, we're going to click on our names, which will take you into the breakout space, and you'll be joined by a facilitator who will talk you through what we're going to do. So I'm letting you go. You can just click, zoom in using the map icon, click on your name, and it will take you to one of the breakout rooms to start working on those challenges. Sorry, we dragged you.
You didn't tell us where we were going. We wanted to go on
I
our
can
own.
see Adrian Dooley. Hello, Adrian.
I'm going to let you go on your own because we're going to just go and quickly look at everyone's boards and see what we come up with.
Mary,
So Leo, Leo, where would you like us?
If you can join me on the gold one, breakout gold.
So places list, right hand side, scroll down until you see breakout gold. Leo, what the group did.
Okay, well, we even had Gus here joining us. So I'd say that the main surprise we had to do with the external or the importance of the outside perspective. Because we were brainstorming a lot of personas, a lot of stakeholders whose idea was important. And then when we were spinning, we got that it was missing an outside perspective. On the other hand, the good learning was the practicalities of the decision makers. So by listing them, we could see who should always be involved in the whole decision process. Tam?
Brilliant. So, can you join me next at Breakout Bergen?
Okay, so let's join Breakout Burgundy. It's just next door.
So we were doing a project plan. We did a sticky steps plan to create this viable commercial model. We did it really quickly. So we managed to make all of the actions that we needed to do to inform this business case, which started off being the first thing in the project plan, and we realized it was the last thing. And lots of really good surprises. We got everyone to complete this tool really, really quickly, the sticky steps plan. Biggest surprise for some in the group that we developed a plan in collaboration, agreed it in 4 minutes flat, and we all knew what we were going to do afterwards, which was really good. We started to, there's a good question from Hoos about thinking about different cultures, different countries, different ways that people might want to do this, having to take that on board with stakeholders. And the last one, how could use this in the future? Somebody wants to do virtual workshops. Gary, so talk to us after Gary before you go, because we know how to do those. Eddie, where would you like us? Eddie? Oh, let's go to Jonathan. Jonathan.
Yeah, if you would like to everybody come to breakout black. Great. Yeah. Oh, there we go. Excellent. Sorry, I'm just trying to zoom in. Yes, we had a good session, as you can see from the stickies. lots of great ideas. And I was surprised. I mean, I think it's one of the largest groups that I've facilitated as a breakout, and everybody was extraordinarily well behaved. I think.
Oh, that's not good.
Which was
you want to behave good on QUBE.
But there were a couple of things that particularly struck me. This idea of from Jonas of the importance of a project-based culture. That actually this is a cultural thing. You can't just insert this into business without it kind of belonging. And there was also a really interesting question that came up. I'm not sure that we resolved it entirely, which was this question here. What do you do if you start a pilot, but you then abandon it? So you put 15 or 20 people through, and that's all lovely, and then you've got all these people saying, us next, and you have to tell them, sorry, we're not going to do it anymore. So how do you manage expectation, and how do you structure the pilot so that it gives you the greatest chance of success and removes the risk of disappointment? And in terms of using this in the future, I'm just thinking, yeah, we should do this again. This is good. So, Eddie, are you with us now?
Brilliant. Thanks, Jonathan. So go to green.
Great. So we have a double act here. So what we're going to do is I'm going to just show you this quickly, and then Ruben's going to help me with the learn by sharing. So we had a really good conversation about this. We chose as the personas a customer, financial guy, head of operations, project manager, controller, planner, and an executive. And as you can see, Adam and team, there's a fair number of things from value for money to customer value and customers being clear that there's a level playing field, along with things like making sure everybody knows the transparency, and we're all using the same methodologies. So we came up with some really powerful stuff there. And then on the learn by sharing, which Ruben is going to help me with.
Yeah, we had a great session with everybody indeed, and there was a big flow of ideas. It's surprising how this sticker approach just get you ideas without discussing. And then we had a next step where we were trying to establish a common understanding of the stickers. And whilst trying to define that was the discussion part. And I would agree that this quick brainstorming session has brought up great ideas. Yeah.
Ruben, first time on QUBE. Yay!
Yay!
I told you guys we were the best. Ignore the other things. Not competition. Not competition. Great, everyone. Tammy, where are we going?
Brilliant. Yes, small discussion board next to find out what Hoos and Karen actually did.
Yeah, excellent.
So I'm going to ask you to zoom in on the left. And if you're not there, we will pull you in. So, Hoos, over to you. What did you actually do?
Well, I'd like to spend 5. This is also new to me. Oh, what do we wrong? There I am. I want to spend 5 minutes to tell you about how competence development actually improved Shell's project delivery capability in the last 6 months. So I'll link you back a little bit to 2005. I need to share my camera if I do it very properly. I think I see me because I have some backlight from the sun. But you see that I do not have a lot of hair. So in 2005, that was the time when I still had hair. But then Shell of let's say 50 to 60 billion dollars in that year, and that's a huge amount. And we were delivering the most innovative, new, novel, big, huge projects across the globe. But they were not meeting expectations and the rule in terms of budget, schedule, and so on and so on. And the CEO said at the time, enough is enough. So we need to do something about it. And that led to the conception of Shell. with an integrated focus on learning, experience, growing network support, and also internal assessment of where we actually are. Then in 2010, SPA launched competency development frameworks as part of it. So SPA Shell Project Academy. Shell is an honest believer of competency-based learning. You need to grow learning on the job, and what's really important for how you step up your career as a project professional. It goes with increasing demands in proficiency. So that's a very different approach than the chartership, because the chartership looks at coverage of competency, whilst the Shell competency development frameworks do not only look at coverage of competencies, but also proficiency depth growth. Where am I? So that led to basically to a formal recognition of somebody's attained competence and proficiency depth around that. However, in a way, quite rigid. You need to start with somebody has experience. What is the headline of the project that you have delivered? There's a proxy for complexity, but we all know that headline of a project is not necessarily summarize the complexity of the project. So a couple of years later, that's where we started in recognizing the capability. We basically introduced assessment levels attained by qualification in our internal resource processes, and competency assessment levels appear more and more as part of the job descriptions in our resourcing process, driving the people executing our project. 2008 is a very important step because there Shell launched the project management stream. We got an APM award for that, and then we stepped away from a bit of a prescriptive, directive project governance style with a lot of procedures, and those shall do this and those shall that type of approach, to a more approach that really shifting content to context, if that does make sense, which allows then better leadership. But in order to display that ability, that can only be done with competent project managers, because they can decide what's needed for that project, and only competent people can do that. So the fact that you have a base actually the rigidity of the project management framework whilst maintaining the rigor of it, obviously. So the prescriptive requirements were basically retired, and you need competent people to do that. Full stop. So that's why we really embed competent development program in Shell Project Academy, enhancing the project delivery capability in our company, and that's what it is. And then 2020. We were saying, okay, that's all good that Shell says we have very good project managers, but it's in one of the breakouts I said something about the external perspective and other breakdowns around other countries' cultures and how people externally look at it. And I did it on purpose because intuitively you tend to look very inward focused, but I really would like to get back to you, look outward focused. Because at the end of the day is how do you grow trust in your company? How do you grow trust in a company like Shell, in the project delivery capability, whilst actually, what is it, 15 years earlier, in 2005, we were going through the roof. So there was not a real great project delivery capability at the time. So how can you have impact and be very rigorous in your competency view pertaining to the right, what is it? Grow trust in your company. It's about reputation. We don't want serious safety incidents, for instance. We don't want bad reputation in press. You've seen the headlines over the last couple of years, so that matters more and more and more. So if we were to enter in a new, let's say, energy transition type of environment, which is very current as we speak, I think LNG with the Ukraine war in the background, yeah, how do we convince our partner to say, hey, Shell is the right partner to collaborate with you to build that project on your behalf? That has to do with growing trust in your company, demonstrating your capability. And we can say as Shell, look how good we are, like any. But it is, of course, a lot more compelling if an external professional body actually says. So what we have been working on to make it a competitive case and come back to, let's say, to £300 per individual instead of 1,600, which was the initial case, we actually managed APM managed to recognize our competency frameworks as we recognize assessment route into chartered. So that led completely back. And I've seen in the breakout groups, yeah, what does it cost? What's the value? How do I save money on my projects? There is also a bit of feeling. The same as if you make advertising with public a marketing campaign somewhere outside, you also cannot really calculate how much money you came back from it. It's very important to build trust in the company and are confident and that you drive to it. That's how it is. And at the moment, we have, in the meantime, built a base of somewhat around 350 chartered. That is quite a number, and to be very honest, quite proud of that.
Sorry, who's for interrupting, but can I ask you to just wrap, please?
Yeah, I will move on. Sorry, how do I move this one? So a nice anecdote is was that some project engineers were governing an NOV type of project management, looking after shell care while they actually did not do the project. They did demonstrate flying hours and the headline, but it isn't fuel right. So instead of looking at the CP, look at the actual critical. That's important. That's supporting all of this. So my conclusion so far, I think I said it earlier, is that the chartered system as it is now is quite a binary system. You meet the requirements or you don't. There's not a lot of development gain.
You what, love?
And that's what my recommendation would be. If your competency profiles are really deepening the proficiency levels, because if you analyze it like that, then actually you gain also development for the individual that grow and contribute to the capability building in your company. So that's my recommendation. And on top of that, CPD would then benefit from clear linkage to deepening proficiency. That would be my recommendation, what I've learned so far, and we are working on that going forward. So that's my story.
Brilliant, thank you very much, Chris.
Sorry, Pep.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
Thank you. There are some questions in the chat.
Came
if
down
you can
to do the egg,
respond to them in the chat, that would be great. But I'm going to move us on to Karen's story now.
No, I didn't forget. I just couldn't do it.
So is who's responding in the chat for us?
If you can, please, Zeus, if you want to look at those questions and respond as we go, but we'll hand over to Karen.
I will try to answer some in the chat box, okay?
Brilliant, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. So if you want to start with the here, if that's okay, if you lift my post-it. So here we have two sort of jigsaws that don't quite fit together, and I think it's fair to say we've still got quite a long way to go in terms of our journey around chartership. We basically, the jigsaws represent our different businesses that basically have different approaches and different purse strings. And I think one of the things that compounds this to a certain degree as well is also the perception of project management as a career, and it's something that's had quite a lot of airspace recently. So I think we've got a number of people coming through the business, very much early careers, who see absolutely PM as, you know, a professional career, quite rightly so, I would say. But also historically, we've used PM as something that senior engineers can do. Once they get to a point where they don't want to do engineering anymore, they're very senior, so obviously they'll make a good project manager. So we really have to kind of get over that and be really clear about, you know, PM is a profession within our business, and how do we really promote that. So I think that's where we are at the moment. What's going well, if we could just move that post-it, if that's okay, is we've also partnered with a company called QA. So we do recognise the different routes to chartership, and what QA are doing is they are supporting us to help us get people through, especially Route 3 to chartership. And that's going quite well within the business. Our submarines business especially has really taken this on board and has put more people through than some of the other businesses. And I think what that's doing for us really is it's almost creating a proof of concept, because I think the way that we potentially can support this within our business is proving the benefit of it from people actually having been through chartership. So I think that in itself is a really positive message. We've also done quite a lot of work in the background, pulling together stats to say who's been through it, what are the other functions doing, what's their approach, and also thinking about how can we also bring chartership potentially across the enterprise. And although I'll be honest, we haven't had very much take up at all, we have started talking about whether chartership actually is something that some of the other businesses who predominantly use PMI, there's no reason why they couldn't necessarily think about chartership. So this is something as well that we're potentially looking at. Where do we want to get to? So that's there. We want to just move that one. Well, our ideal world, and we've got these very, very corporate looking people who are all very professional, world class, helping us be seen as a partner of choice because of our professionalism in the PM function. And they all look very great. So obviously we want to be just like them. And maybe what's not going quite as well as we would like, if you want to just lift that other one, is, and I'm trying to show that really as a kind of a carrot. I think we've really got to do more in terms of we've got to use our proof of concept to increase the size of the carrot. So that would be my strap line. I think what BAE need to do is increase the size of the carrot so we can move forward a little bit faster than we currently are doing. Is that okay?
Yeah, very good.
Headline is
So, two fabulous stories. Thank you to our speakers for those. Leo.
Okay, so if you can all join me here on Learn by Sharing. Oh, I think you're all here already. Let's see if we can come up with a book of surprises, things we've learned, and more importantly, how can I use it in the future? So feel welcome, don't be shy. Add your stickies, don't have to stick to one sticky each, as many as you can in a few seconds. Add your stickies. What's your biggest surprise today, the whole session? What have you learned? And how do you think you can apply it in the future? Okay. Oh, Russell, are you okay to share the two ones you've chosen for a group favorite?
Oh, I didn't want that one. Shove that out.
Oh.
That was mine. Okay.
I knew you'd be trouble, Russell.
So I've just gone with, it's around CHPP, so chartership. It is a proof of quality, and the project themselves depend a lot on soft skills, interpersonal interactions. Means a lot to me because I co-chair the APM People SIG, so funnily enough, I quite agree with that really. And the fact that some people are just getting to grasp with that is quite interesting to me. But then again, I'm sat here in the UK. I was one of the inaugural batch of CHPPs, Chartered Project Professionals. So I kind of lived and breathed it since its inception, and it's just thinking of that wider spectrum. But funnily enough, it isn't just the UK who are interested in it, albeit that we know that there are obstacles to overcome as we look to spread it around the world. So the likes of what BAE and also what Shell are doing in getting people from various countries, amongst other organisations, of course, is really useful collateral for others who are working with global organisations to take away. And that's one of the things I think KPM have to look deeply at, is that wider approach beyond their current corporate database.
Thank you very much, Russell. Jack has chosen the one, how successful project academy competency approach can have successful project outcomes. That's a good one. That was Gary's. So thank you, Jackie. And I think who was the other one I asked was just Emma. That was you, wasn't Emma? That setting the standards. That was a good one. That was from Ruben. Okay, Emma.
Yeah, I picked that one because I think it pretty much says everything that it needs to say in terms of setting a set of standards and expectations, benchmarking across the industry, so that when we pick, when we're picking resources, when we're recruiting, when we're applying, sort of allocating resources to different projects, that we understand where the skills and experience of the person that's being chosen. So set the standards.
Okay.
That sort of aligns.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Eddie.
Thank you.
Not Eddie. Tam.
Lots and lots of learning. So you're all here for a round table, and you're wondering where the round table is. So if you look in the places list, click on round table and you will find it. We can all go and sit, and we're going to just do a quick round of thoughts before we finish up. So click on round table. I could drag you, but I really don't want to. Has everyone got the cube feet? Are we all here? Has anyone sat at a round table like this before?
No.
Not without any food on it, no.
We can do food. We can do virtual food. So thank you all. Thank you to our speakers, but we'll come back to that at the end. We normally, in a session, we would check in with everyone and just say what your thoughts, insights are. But there's so many of you, and we know that you've probably all got dinner or lunch or something waiting, that I'm going to introduce something brand new we call it spin casting, checking in with everyone. We're going to do Fibonacci spin casting based on the Fibonacci numbers, but I'll probably get them wrong, so it'll probably be random. But if someone wants to count, you can check me. So I'm going to skip Adam because I'm going to come to you at the end. So I'll start with you, Eddie. Any thoughts you would like to say based on today's session?
Yeah, sure.
Not Eddie,
yeah, Eddie.
Addy.
Yeah.
Oh, Addy.
Start with number one. It's the Fibonacci sequence.
It's the Scottish accent.
We don't start at 42.
It went by pretty quickly, and there was lots of contributions, but results got filtered out pretty quickly as well. So all good.
Brilliant, thank you. I can't count, so I'm going to go to Kath Leach.
Yeah, it's listening to the case studies has really helped me. I'm the managing director. I'm trying to understand the benefits of bringing it to whole thing. But I'm wrestling with how we do it as a very small organisation because of the time it takes. And so I'm still wrestling with that, I have to say.
Brilliant, thank you. So I think next I'm about 8. So Ed, I think you're about 8 or 9, somewhere in there.
Yeah, I just had to come off mute there. Yeah, it's been a blast. It's been really fast. I think that I really enjoyed doing the collaboration exercises because it gives us an idea of pace. In terms of the topic, definitely the Project Academy has reminded me that that's a great way to potentially get the profession through chartership. So we'll be looking at what we can do there. Thank you.
Brilliant, thank you. Gary.
Sorry, coming off mute here. One of the things I think client bodies should be doing is mandating supply chain. We're already seeing the Infrastructure Projects Authority mandating supply chain have CHPP. We're seeing a lot of our clients I work for ask for project leaders to have CHPP. So it's a supply chain driven demand, and consultants like that I work for will follow suit if that's what the clients are demanding. So it's good to see it. It's happening, but I'd like more of it.
Brilliant. Thank you, Gary. Marion, I'm coming to you next. Your mic's off. Are you with us, Marion? Oh, I'm in trouble there. So I'm going to jump to Tiffany.
For me, it has been about the Project Academy and getting the competencies, the focus on the competencies, and then moving forward from there.
Brilliant, thank you. I hope no one was actually counting if I was doing Fibonacci right, because I definitely got it wrong. But Adam, I would like to come back to you for some final thoughts before jumping to Eddie.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. And can I just say thank you to everybody who's taken part in this today. I found it incredibly helpful, and I've been dipping in and out of the various groups just to get a sense of the conversation. I've got 5 key reflections that I've taken away, and it by no means captures everything, but they're the real prominent things that stick in my mind, which I'm certainly going to take away to reflect more about what we do with them. The first one for me was around a point that was made by one of the groups earlier around the scalability of chartership. And I think the particular point that was made is, look, what's a viable commercial model here if we've got 400 plus eligible candidates for chartership? I think it's a really good challenge coming back at us, and that links in with some of the cost side of things, but also links in with that the business case side of things. And one of the kind of mantras I talk about internally at APM is saying that everything we do must be replicable, scalable, and sustainable. And I think that applies equally to CHPP as well. So it's something I'm going to take away on that. The second thing was just around the kind of practicalities. I recognise there are some people here who actually aren't sure of the kind of, actually, how do I go about getting chartered? Where is the information? What's it all about? So as an action, I will, after today, just send some of that basic information out so people understand how you go about doing it, either or as a group. The third thing for me was this point that I made around having a common criteria around the return on investment. And I think that's a real challenge, because the reality is that not all organisations are deploying their chartered project professionals in the same way. So therefore, having that kind of common set of criteria, I'm not actually convinced that that's possible. That said, I think there is a question about, if every single one of my project professionals in the organisation was chartered, what impact would that have on my business? Yes, there's a cost, but actually, what would the return be on that? Or what types of impacts could it have in different scenarios? So I think there are probably some scenarios that we could map out there for different types of businesses in different contexts that would help on that. So that's something I will take away. The fourth thing was around international, and this is an area where we're actually already making some tangible progress. So I think someone mentioned PMIs, obviously also IPMA operating in that space, and I've got a very good relationship with both of those organisations. And one of the conversations that's happening live now with PMI is actually for those who've got their PMP qualification, for example, should that help them on that journey to chartership? And there is actually an appetite from PMI to explore that further. So I'm hoping there's more linking up we can do around some of the international standards, which will help chartership internationally, but will also help some of those other organisations too. And then the last one was the point around supply chains. Well, and actually it was a bigger point around demand. Where is that demand coming from? I think it was Gary made the point about that he's seeing that already, and I think APM has a role to play in accelerating that demand rather than it coming through in dribs and drabs. And the work we're doing around comms and political engagement and so on, I think can really accelerate that. So they're my kind of 5 key takeaways, but incredibly helpful set of discussions there. So thank you very much.
Brilliant, thank you, Adam. Eddie, final words from you.
Yes, thank you, Adam. Thank you, Heath. Thank you, Karen. Most important thing, you don't have to leave straight away. It's not a Teams call. You don't have to hang up. You can hang around. You can talk to the network. But most important of all, make sure you take a selfie and you tweet it. So for me, what I've done is I did the learn by sharing for my own situation. So my biggest surprise was the energy and the quality of the discussion. Very much so. I thought at least in my group, we covered a lot of stuff very quickly, and we were able to actually build on each other's ideas quite remarkably, to be honest. I think also that there was a degree of an alignment, and in terms of the insights from the cases, understanding the complexity, the financial requirements, and so on, that made a big difference. And I could see from the cubicle chat, people were really engaging with that. I guess my big key learning is how to communicate how Chartered brings value, and to look at it on a global scale, exactly as Adam was saying, how to bring this together for people. But I know that between starting and being chartered, there's also a sort of a period where people need their hands held. They need some just-in-time learning, rather than saying, you're not chartered yet, so mess up all your projects until you are. So that's the other bit. But my biggest key learning is how well you guys have to our people engagement tools, our performance enhancement tools. I mean, we've thrown a lot at you, hopes and fears, sliced bread, here to there, so far story, and you can see how they help people collaborate. But you've also gone along with the CUBE culture. You're being CUBE. Basically, right first, talk second, involving everyone. So I'm just pleased that you've come into our rather, we call it a better verse. So the important thing, of course, is everything you learn in this betterverse you can take back to the old world and continue using there as well. In terms of how to use this in the future, you know how when you come on something like this, you go back to your organization, it's difficult to explain to people what you did. Guess what? Everything we did is still in this cubicle. You can bring your colleagues here, just show it like a PowerPoint and say, this is where we went, this is the group we worked with, here are Adam's slides, they will be here, you can go through them, they're on the podium. So that would be a way of taking the ideas back to the organization. And then you also know how important it is to de-risk projects as they go. Well, I did warn you about the advert alert, but that's what we do. So come back here. Tammy mentioned earlier bringing your teams back. We do this thing called the day in the life, where we show how a perfect project is run, and then we let people come in and learn things like our glide path method and all those things which take a project just to that next level, especially for people who have got lots and lots of competence and skills and are probably chartered already. And then finally, I just want to say, take the learning back with you. We're going to try and create some sort of digest to summarize what we did, but if you can contribute to that, that would be great. We'll send it out to you so you can see and you can put things in. Now, important bits. Applause for the team, especially Josh. Should we do that? You have to be off mute, someone can't hear you. Okay, applause for our amazing guests, Hoos and Karen. Applause for Adam B! And then the most important one, applause for yourselves for learning, doing, and moving this wonderful topic forward. Thank you very much. That was great. Thank you. Great. Thank you. Don't run away. Stay selfie.